expressed during the related show are those of the show personalities and guest alone, and not those of Vic Canellis Media Group, its parent, affiliates, or stations. VCMG Live is not responsible for any content, information, or opinions expressed. User bears full responsibility for their reliance on such content, information, or opinions.
Welcome to Making Money with Laura Sanders, a name you can trust. With over 20 years of real estate experience and selling over 150 homes a year, Laura Sanders is the #1 RE/MAX agent in the state of Florida for 2021. Join us each week as we discuss how to make money through buying and flipping homes, to renting versus selling, and everything in between. To join the conversation, call in live 888-994-4995, Studio A.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Making Money with Laura Sanders, and I am your host, Laura Sanders. Every week we talk about something that will help you save a little money, make a little money, might even just help to navigate this crazy world that we live in. And the biggest thing that we're dealing with right now as realtors, or realtors, is we're dealing with the new NAR Settlement Act. And I know we're not supposed to talk about it, but we're going to talk about it today. And I'm here with Freddie today, and we're going to talk about what this is going to mean for the future of real estate.
So why don't you bring up what you prepped me on before we went on the air, because I'm shocked.
Okay, so, which I'm shocked that you really, because you've been so in love with real estate your whole life that you not to really, which is good. I hope more people aren't really paying attention to what's going on. But realistically, what now is happening across the United States is that there was a NAR settlement. There was a lawsuit against the realtors about paying a commission, saying that it wasn't negotiable. Now, I'm sure you've negotiated commissions before, right?
Of course. Like
how much you've paid to a realtor to sell a house. I mean, I don't understand how, for here in Florida, right? If you look at our listing agreement, it says that you're paying the realtor X percentage, right, or dollars, and there's another spot that says you're offering another amount out for compensation, and that amount could be open, right? It doesn't have to necessarily be split 50-50. The way I look at that fee is I look at it as it's a marketing fee. So. This week I went on a listing appointment, and it was the first time that I had somebody say to me, I'm not going to pay a buyer's agent. And I looked at her and I said, well, I could appreciate the fact that you don't want to pay a buyer's agent. However, and I pulled out all the sheets, and this is going to change, right? And I said, these are your competitors right now. These are the homes in your neighborhood that are on the market. And this is what they're offering, 2.5%. 2%, 3%, 2.5%, 2.5%. Majority of people, I would say, offer, it's usually like a 5% listing a lot of times, right? And then there are people that pay 6%, and there's some people that don't even ever ask, they just don't even care. And I've heard of realtors charging 7%. And I'm sure you've seen 7% in your time, 8%.
Never saw it.
Really?
No.
Yes,
sure.
I was going to say.
I would never admit to that.
I was like, what? So, and of course, as a seller, you're not going to want to pay that, right? And it's in my opinion, it's always been negotiable. People negotiate you. Of course, as a salesperson, it's our job to negotiate the best for ourselves and for the transaction, right? I mean, you don't go to work for free. I don't want to go to work for free.
Nobody should.
But this is the new concern now for buyer's agents, right?
All right, so let's so we understand the dilemma. Does this only affect the buyer's agents or the seller's agents, or both?
So the selling agents, you're still going to get a listing agreement like always.
Okay.
And there's going to be some offer of compensation to you. The sellers are not going to be obligated to offer compensation out to the buyer's agents. Okay? Now, as a realtor for doing this for as long as I've been doing it, a million years, right? You should be offering out compensation. It's a marketing cost. It's part of marketing, right? Haven't you ever offered somebody a bonus to come and buy your listing?
Correct.
Bring me a buyer and I'll give you, not only will I give you 3%, but I'll give you another $1,500 if you close by the end of March, at a full price offer.
That's right, negotiating price.
So it's all costs of expenses. However, come August 17th, 2024, and I don't know, they could push it out again, right? there will be no offers of compensation visible on the MLS.
So that means it doesn't exist.
It exists. It's a question of how are we going to be able to share this with our fellow realtors, right? Realtors. How do we share that, right?
Okay, so you're representing me selling my house.
Right. You're going to pay me a fee.
I'm going to pay you, which is going to be disclosed.
Right.
Okay.
To me and
To
you.
Right, in our contract.
But so let's say that fee, typically, right, let's just use the old school 6%, right?
Okay.
So you're offering out 6% in the transaction, right? Typically what would happen is it would be split 50-50, right?
50-50 between you
And the buyer's agent.
And the buyer's agent.
Right. Okay. So now, let's just say that you still paid 6% and we're offering out a compensation to the buyer's agent. That now will not be on the MLS, the multiple listing service. So how are we as agents going to be, this is all going to be we're going to be talking about this for months to come on the show, especially with like our lawyers, with CJ, from JK Closings. We're going to be talking about this. We're going to be talking about this with Max. We're going to be talking about how are we incorporating these costs back into the mortgage, because it's a violation. It's a federal housing violation to not show a house that is not offering compensation. So if you're a buyer's agent, and imagine getting a new buyer's agent, it's hard enough now to show property, now to show and not even know if you're going to get paid.
Okay, but hold on. I got a couple of questions. So you make a deal for 6%. The seller is giving the seller's agent.
Right.
And that's disclosed. The buyer, let's say this buyer brings somebody to the table, which I just sold a house and that's the way it worked.
Right.
The buyer does not get paid by the buyer of the property?
No, when you just sold your house, right?
With you, I'm dealing with.
Right.
But on the other side of the equation, does the buyer get compensated by the buyers?
They did it in your situation because this is pre-August 17th.
Well, they actually did it the way you're saying, old school. She actually took monies from her 5% and shared it with the buyer.
Right, that's what I'm talking about. Same 6%, 5%.
Right.
We're just using 6 as a...
So that other thing goes away now.
Correct, that other 2.5 that she gave out, right? But that's the thing, your listing agreement said you're paying your listing agent 5%. Then there's another paragraph below. You could fill that in or not fill that in.
Which will help you sell the house because now you can't offer the buyer's agent any compensation.
We can't offer it out openly.
Right. Can
However,
you do a contract between you and the buyer?
Yes, we can, right. But the sellers are seeing all this news on the radio. I'm seeing it, hearing it on the radio, seeing it on the news, right? So now I'm getting, like, I had a lady that called me the other day. She says, and she said it was with an explanation. What the? And I was like, I said to her, I was like, listen, I said, call her Jackie, right? Just for the purpose of it. I said, Jackie. She's like, I just read this in the AARP magazine that they're not going to pay buyer's agents anymore. And now I'm going to be on the other side now that I'm selling my house. I'm paying right now. And now I'm going to go up there and I'm not going to be able to find a house because nobody's going to pay my agent. And I said, let's not get, freaked out about it. Let's talk about it, right? First of all, it's all about who you hire. This is going to be super important because hiring a new agent, this is going to definitely stop, like hiring your cousin's brother who's never sold a house. That stuff's going to end because you have to have experience. You have to be able to negotiate back into the deal your commission.
Right.
So you can call up front and say, hey, are you offering a commission? Whether they're offering one or not, you still need to show that house. So when you go to make that offer, right, you make the offer. And this is what buyers need to know because no buyer wants to pay the commission.
Right. They
What
want to
I'm
pay as least as
fearful
possible.
for is that some buyers are going to be like, well, I don't want to use an agent because I might have to pay you, right?
Correct. But
they do need to pay you.
The
That's what
buyer
they're saying.
needs
The
to
buyer
pay.
has to pay you.
the buyer has to pay his agent.
Correct. That's what they're saying now, which has
Okay.
never been the case.
So it used to be before that the buyer and the seller lived on the same monies, agents-wise?
The Yeah, so the seller would be offering a
Monies.
compensation to the buyer's agent to bring a buyer.
And the buyer's agent offered compensation to the
No, the buyer's agents never offered anything.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So yeah, so look at it like this. You're selling your house, you had a listing agent. You hired the main agent who was going to market your property.
Correct.
Now, multiple agents from all over, hence the multiple listing service, right, came and showed your house, right?
Correct.
And they said, well, we don't want to buy it, it needs updating. Oh, we don't want to buy it because it backs to the street. Oh, we don't want to buy it because of this. Whatever the reason is, right? So you have 40 agents that come in over like a 3-month period of time looking at your property, right? So when that buyer that finally decides to make an offer, they got paid a compensation because your agent was offered 5%.
My seller's agent.
Your listing agent.
Yes,
Let's
my
use it. Let's
listing
keep it
agent.
the words because you can use different wording, but
Okay.
I don't want to confuse people. You paid your listing agent 5%. Your listing agent offered the buyer's agent 2.5%.
And that's all listed on the contract.
Not always.
Not always.
Not always. You have to read your contract, right?
But let me ask
the way
you.
it's written here
but
in
Laura,
Florida, yeah.
So let's say that the agreed upon number is 5% or
Right.
6% to make the number.
Yeah, I'm
easy.
only using that because back in the day,
It could be
and I
4,
think
it could
that's
be
what
2.
I think that's what the government was arguing is that commissions aren't negotiable, and I think most people in their head have 6%. Now, I saw back in the day like Exit and ERA, they were charging 7 and 8%.
yeah.
I saw a lot of that.
Well, let's just say that the number for this
Mm-hmm.
conversation is 6%. And whatever happens with that 6%, buyer or seller are not involved. That's between you and the agent, the listing, and the agent that brings the house, no?
No, it's not just between them. It's also between the owner.
Tell me why.
Okay, so in the listing agreement, it says, I'm going to offer 6%, right? It says, you're going to pay me 6%. You're the
Correct.
seller. I'm the listing agent. It says, you're signing an agreement for 6%.
Correct.
There's another paragraph underneath it. Now, some agents leave that paragraph blank, which then leaves it open that they can do whatever they want with that 6%. They can offer at 1% to the buyer's agent. They can offer 2%, 3%. They could not offer anything at all.
Because it's going to be left blank, or do they have to fill it out?
They don't have to fill it out. It can be left blank.
So then the other agent has to negotiate with you before he gets into the soup, no? Because
That's how it's
otherwise-
going to be come August 17th.
So you think that's going to change?
No, before that's not how, you didn't have to negotiate before
Because it was standard.
It was because there was an offer of compensation on the MLS.
So they're taking that out.
They're taking that out. Come August 17th.
So now it's going to be the Wild Wild West.
Correct. Yes, it's scary.
So now you're going to have to bring in attorneys and everything else to make sure the compensation is agreed to?
No, that will be signed before you show the house. Now, some agents are joking, saying that, like, let's say the listing price is $599,991 for 1%, 992 2%.
But they're going to break it up by percentages that way? That's even more complicated.
It's always been percentages, though.
Yeah, but
But imagine
6% is
2.5.
6%.
Right, but it doesn't have to be split. There's no law that says that if you get paid 6, you have to split it with the other agent.
Well, then the buyer's agents are the ones that are going to get the short end of the stick here, because God only knows what they're going to get compensated.
But here's the thing. So now let's say you list your house for $550. Let's just say. And I'm the buyer's agent, and I show your house, right? And I call the agent prior to, and I say, hey, Freddie, are you offering any compensation on this? Yes, we're offering 2%. Now, I don't know how this is all going to work, but I would think that I need to get an email from you saying it's 2%. And then when I write the offer, you're going to sign something that says you're paying me 2%, right?
But wouldn't I say call you?
What do you mean call me?
In other words, the agent calls me and says, no, talk to Laura. She's handling the percentages, because my percentage is not going to shift.
What do you mean, as the listing agent?
You're the listing agent.
Right.
I'm the seller.
Right. You're the seller. No, they're not calling the seller. They're calling the listing agent.
Okay.
They're
they
calling
call
me.
you.
They'll call me and they'll say, I'm just using you as an example
much
that
are
you're
they
the
gonna
seller.
get
I didn't
paid?
mean it as
Gotcha.
you're the seller. I'm using it as you're
They
the
wanna
agent.
know how much you're gonna negotiate.
You're calling the listing agent saying, how much are you offering for compensation? 2%. Okay, great. Now, I would probably say text message isn't legal by law.
No.
It used to be. It's not anymore. So, you know, with that being said, right, we're going to go back. You know what? Let's go to let's go to commercial break, and we come back, I'm going to explain very specifically what we're going to do with this offer of compensation. So let's check out our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
Whether you're buying, selling, refinancing, or building your dream home, you have a lot riding on your loan specialist. Max Fish, a top 1% mortgage loan officer in the nation, will give you a same-day qualifying quote. Max Fish is committed to providing his customers with mortgage services that exceed their expectations, ensuring that you make the right choice for you and your family is his ultimate goal. Contact Max Fish today at 954-729-6933 or max.fisch@nwmcorp.net.
At JK Closing Attorneys, we do all of the same things that a title company does, but with the benefits of being a law office. We can help with residential real estate, short sales, commercial real estate, refinances, 1031 exchanges, and FRIPTA withholding.
Contact JK Closing Attorneys today at 954-332-3111. Again, that is 954-332-3111.
You have been watching Making Money with Laura. For more information, contact Laura Sanders at 954-650-0827 or visit her website at theloracell.com. And now back to the show.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to Making Money with Laura Sanders, and I'm here with Freddie, and we're talking about the new NAR settlement and what it means to listing agents and buyer's agents and how we're going to get paid compensation. So
now that I'm thoroughly confused.
Okay, let me try to do this a little bit easier. You're a seller.
Yes.
I'm a listing agent. Dawn's a buyer's agent. Okay.
Okay. So the three of us are in this deal together.
We're not in any deal yet, right?
Right. But she's buying allegedly a house I'm selling.
No, she's got a client that wants to buy your house.
Okay.
Okay. I'm the listing agent, listing your house. You're my seller. Okay. You and I, we meet, we signed a listing agreement. You agree to pay me 6%. Okay. Geez, Freddie, you didn't even try to negotiate me. What the heck?
Because 6% is what I'm used to. But okay, let's say it's 6% for
part of the reason why NAR has a problem.
Oh, okay, 6%.
Yeah. Okay, so 6%. All right, so now in today's market on the MLS, typically I would offer out 3% to the buyer's agent.
To her?
Yes. So she would be on the MLS looking for a house for her client, which would be what's her name? No, not you. Okay, so the young lady over there, she's buying a house.
Jay.
Okay, she's buying a house. Okay, so now she wants to get paid, Dawn,
right,
when she takes her buyer out, right?
Right.
Okay, so I'm offering 3% right now on the MLS, multiple listing service.
Okay.
Okay, Dawn knows how much she's going to get paid, 3%. That's it. If for some reason Dawn doesn't get paid that at closing, she has a reason to go for arbitration. All right, let's fast forward August 17th, 2024. There will no longer be any offers of compensation on the multiple listing service. So, thanks to whoever threw this lawsuit up.
This is crazy.
Yes.
So why would she even show Jay the house if she's not getting compensated?
Well, she's going to have to now call me, the listing agent, and ask me. And again, this is all going to be a working thing. She's going to say, hi, Laura, I want to show your listing over at 123 Main Street. I just wanted to know, are you offering compensation? And I say, no, Dawn, I'm not offering any compensation. Dawn goes, okay, well, I'm not going to show your house then. Guess what? Dawn's going to be in big problem because she's now violating fair housing. Because she's refusing not to show my house because she's decided to help a buyer.
I got you.
This is my concern, is that who works for free? So she's going to have to get a buyer's agreement with her. And she's going to have to get her to agree to say, I'm going to pay you 2%.
So now Jay has to pay Dawn.
Correct. But if there is an offer of compensation, right, then she won't have to pay Dawn.
But hold on. If the 6% is still on the table.
Okay, but let's forget. Let's scratch the 6%. And even if the 6% is on the table, I don't know that you're obligated to offer compensation. I think that's a decision of the agent
That's your decision.
Right. But the thing is that a lot of sellers are already coming to us and saying, hey, I don't have to pay the buyer's rate. No, you don't. But all the people around you, first of all, we're not on August 17th yet, first of all.
Wait a minute, where did they think that the sellers are coming from? There's not a well in the back and you pull out a seller. I went through hell.
A buyer, you mean?
I mean a buyer.
Yeah.
I went through hell for 6 months finding the buyer. Because sometimes a house, and you know
And you were offering compensation.
And I was.
Yeah.
So if they're telling me that I can't do that anymore?
No, the seller can offer compensation. It just can't be on the MLS anymore. You definitely want to be offering compensation. Let me make this very clear.
Because people then will come.
The whole reason to have this conversation between you and I is because I want it to be clear with everybody, very clear, that agents should be telling their sellers, you want to offer compensation. You don't want to not offer compensation.
So people will come and look
Correct.
at that.
It's marketing. It's a marketing expense. Buyers are not going to, especially FHA, first-time home buyers, where are they coming up with, if they buy a $500,000 home, they have a hard enough time coming up with the 3.5% down and their closing costs. Where are they going to come up with
money for the agent?
to pay their agent? But they're going to have to sign these buyer brokers agreements now.
Well, the amazing thing is that if you refuse to show the house, you're breaking federal law.
Right, because that's like a violation of fair housing, right? So what I would do in this situation is if, let's just say I said, no, Dawn, I'm not paying because my seller's not offering that, right? I think that the listing agreement's going to change and it's going to be very clear on where 4%, 5%, 6% goes, right? Okay, so I think that, and by the way, in my days, I've seen buyer brokers agreements where if, like, let's say I offered 2.5, that they have an agreement that if the listing's not paying 3, they'll pay the difference, that 0.5%.
Really?
I have seen that in my past, which I was like, good for you. Wow. I was like, I don't do that to my buyers just because.
Well, it becomes a negotiating nightmare and it changes the complexities of a deal.
Right. So now you're going to have to negotiate in the deal your commission.
Before the deal even comes out.
Well, no. So I'm going to still show you the house because I don't want to violate any laws, right?
You're on the right side,
Say-
but this side is
No. But let's say I'm now the buyer's agent because I do buyers too. So forget about Dawn. I personally, as a buyer's agent, I'm still going to show you the house.
Can you do both? Can you represent both
Yes.
sides?
Oh yeah. Yeah, we're
So
not.
that hasn't changed.
That hasn't changed. That hasn't changed. It's just that people have to understand you're not it's not dual representation.
So there's
So-
2 checks that are cut at the closing?
No,
You have both?
no, it's one check,
One check.
to your company, right? But obviously, you still have to deal honestly and fairly and count for all funds. So basically, what the bottom line is here is that we need to get across today is that number one is sellers, you should be offering compensation. This is a marketing expense, okay? How we're going to get that across is definitely going to be something that we're going to be talking about over the next few months that I think is super important. That's number one. Number two is if I'm your agent and you're my buyer, I'm still going to show you houses that aren't offering compensation because we're not going to violate any kind of laws, okay? And we're going to learn to try to negotiate the commission that needs to be paid rather than have you, the buyer, pay us in the deal. And you know what? If they don't want to do that and they don't want to pay it, then we've done the right thing and we move on to the next house. Everything in real estate is negotiable.
Yeah, I get it, but
right? You want to sell your house. Will you not? Now, forget about whoever was involved in your deal, right? That made other decisions besides you. But as a seller, did you not want to sell your house?
Yes.
Did you not want to offer some kind of commission compensation?
Yes.
And if you weren't allowed to, would you not allow somebody to negotiate in the deal to give compensation?
Again, yes, everything that needs to be done, I did to get
Yeah.
the deal sold.
Right.
But the problem I'm having with this whole concept is the psychology behind the new ruling, because people are going to say, I don't want to, but they want to sell.
Right.
So you sort of have to have a little bit of wits about you, about what you say and what you do.
Correct.
Because if you say the wrong thing,
Get
you're going to
yourself in a lot
cut
of trouble.
buyers. You can get yourself in a lot of trouble, but think about this. Who's not going to show their property? I mean, I know that you're going to show it irregardless. How many people you think are going to do that? And how do you keep track of it? How do you keep track of somebody's not showing my house because they ain't getting compensated or whatever?
Exactly. And you won't know that. Just like when you're offering 1%, do people not show your listing, right? You don't know that.
How
So
you doing?
So we're going to be back again talking about this again, Freddie and I.
This is it?
No, yeah, we're done. We've talked for almost 30 minutes talking about this stupid
Should people
new law.
call you to get some more information?
Yes, you should definitely call me if you want to know what your rights are and how this is going to
Nuts.
affect you as a buyer, a seller. So definitely give Laura Sanders, your favorite realtor, a call at 954-650-0827 or check out my website at laurasell.com. And until next week, that's that.
Thank you for tuning in for Making Money with Laura Sanders, a name you can trust. To join the conversation, call us at the studio, 888-994-4995 Studio A, or contact Laura directly at 954-650-0827. Laura Sanders, a name you can trust. We look forward to seeing